want to talk to both of you about academy football. Jamie Carragher, this is brilliant actually. Jamie Carragher interviewed Liverpool's academy director, Alex Inglethorpe. He did this for the Telegraph. Got an amazing insight into the Reds academy setup. Let me give you some quotes. He says, this is Alex Inglethorpe. He says, you worked 10 years here to earn an audition in front of the first team. Jurgen is switched on to everything. If a kid just turned up for first team training with a £10,000 watch, he would see it. So would the senior players. You tell me, what do you think? He said Inglethorpe also said, in addition to a £50,000 a year academy wage cap, he also said that there's a car clause that's been introduced, which limits engine sizes to just 1.3 litres. He says, I was so fed up with seeing a car park full of Range Rovers. If anyone turns up with one of them, they are parking it next door. And then he goes on to discuss other strict rules. He goes, we've got a pay structure here, which is fairly old-fashioned. We give them jobs to do. We tell them to hand their phone over at 8:30 in the morning. We give it back to them before they go home. Excuse me. You've played at, top clubs. You've played at, clubs at the other end of the scale. How different are academies when you're talking about the level of which standards are set at clubs like Manchester United compared to, I don't know if I should use Wrexham because... When you went there, they had loads of backing, but I'll use them anyway because they were a non-league side when you went there. How different are academies? Do
you know what? Even back in the day when I was at Man United 2005 to 2010, I remember when I signed, Roy Keane was obviously still there, and if you were a young lad, I'm talking even around the first team, a young lad in and around the first team, you would do nothing other than turn up early. Not just on time, but early. You'd turn up with everything you need, and you would not make a fuss of anything. You'd either get somebody to drop you off, or you'd turn up in a run-of-the-mill car, 1.2 Clio. Yeah, you're not doing nothing other than that. You're not wearing flashy clothes, and you would go under the radar as much as you could, and everybody would do it. And you're talking about players that might have even played for the first team. They would still be expected to do that. It wasn't until you'd played 50, 100 games for Manchester United that it was accepted that you could kind of have a bit of freedom to go and do what you wanted to do. And I love this. I've just read all of that there, and I thought that surely should just be mandatory for every academy. Every academy. If I had a young son that was playing in an academy, I would want him to be subject to all of that as well.
In the interview, or throughout the interview, Benty, Inglethorpe uses the word audition so many times, suggesting, of course, you've got to earn your first team call-up. Not just earn it, but as you said, 50 to 100 caps, if you like, for the first team before you considered, part of the furniture. You've been that experienced pro when young kids have come through, and you've been one of those young kids coming through the first team. How much did life change for you seeing it at both ends of the spectrum?
And then progression up the ladder?
Yeah, when you were coming through, what did the older senior pros make of you coming through, and what did you have? Did you have that cheap car and no watch? And when you were at the other end, did you see kids coming through? You obviously had the flashy cars.
It was one of those where coming through was, as Fozzie was saying, they were saying there, you almost had to go under the radar, right? But as I got to an academy quite late, so I was 14, right? So some of these kids there are like, 10, 11 years, aren't they?
Yeah, not even 9, 8.
So really?
So you're talking 3 years, and I'm in the first team, so that's not that long. But it was one of those where you just got to keep your head down. If the first team has needed anything, you do it for them. I remember David Johnson doing a shooting session, right? I promise you, he hit everything but the goal, right? I promise you, he hit everything but the goal. And me, Ambrose, and a couple of other youth kids were just sitting there watching. And I remember he turned around to us. We hadn't done anything. We were just sitting there watching. And he turned around to us and went, "Listen, you little bleeps, go and get the balls. Don't watch what I'm doing." Because obviously he's fuming now, and he sent us to go just basically stand behind the goal. And if he missed it, we had to kick the balls back. But these were things you just had to do, getting to that level. And with the cars as well, first teamers didn't like you driving the flash cars. But then once you get to the first team level, or you start training them week in, week out, you have to earn their respect, kind of.
Yeah, you're on more of a level.
Yeah, when you start putting in performances and training with them, and they start to realise, okay, he's not just a flash in the pan, he's the real deal. Then they might give you a little bit less. You know what I mean? Give you a bit more of a bit more rope. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll be like, okay, I understand that he can kind of hang with us at this level. He won't let us down. He has still got the same dedication. He is still willing to work really hard. He's not now. He's got to the first team, kind of shirking his responsibilities. But there have been players, obviously, on the way up there that have gone, do you know what? They've got to a certain point and thought they've made it before they've even played for the first team. And I think it's worse now because of social media. Back then, the supporters would only know who the youth team players were coming through if they read it in the newspaper or they'd go and watch the reserve games. Now, some of these kids that are in the youth team have got like 500,000 followers on social media before they've even kicked a ball.
Have you experienced young kids coming through with the flashy cars and the big watches?
Yeah, the watches. That's it. There. If we saw a young kid coming through with like a 10k watch or something like that, you would automatically have this. It's probably human nature, but you'd have this preconceived idea that he is a big time Charlie. You'd look at him and you'd go, "What are you doing, mate? You're turning up to training, right? You just need to come in your tracksuit and get ready to play some football, right?" Even with jobs, okay, the jobs I think are massively important. I really, really do. I think they're so important for the young lads to be first into the building in the morning, make sure the first team changing room is fully set up, good to go, all clean, all the balls, all the cones, all the everything, it's all put out on the training ground, good to go. None of that happens anymore. They don't clean boots, they're not pumping up balls. And I just think that is a real...
Why is it so important?
I don't know, is it welfare? Is it something to do with that?
I think it is welfare because it changed. My first year as a pro, it changed. Like, you signed the 2-year YT, 1 year pro, or whatever it was. My first year it changed. So there was no cleaning boots. You still had to take the balls out, collect the cones, but there's no more washing boots. Now, I think it is a welfare issue why it changed, but it just did. But I think for Fozzie, what you're saying there, it's not even so much the watches. The biggest thing, right, and it's going to sound bonkers, the wash bag.
Wash bag.
The wash bag's the one. You're seeing, and it sounds bonkers, doesn't it?
Yeah. The fact you both said it as well, what do you mean?
Nowadays, but back when I was a kid, my wash bag was like $5.99 from WH Smith.
Basic, standard. Just something to hold your toothpaste and your toothbrush.
Bentley, sorry, you bought a pencil case if it's from Smith's.
No, I'm talking about, or that type of, do you know what I mean? Like, whatever I can get. Nike one.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's Go Yard, Louis Vuitton.
A couple grand. Couple $3,000, honestly.
What?
Yeah.
This is my point.
Couple $3,000.
Sorry, are we talking about the same size?
That you see them all under their arms.
$3,000?
Yeah,
No,
it's a status thing. It's a status thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? You've got to have this bad boy, and as you get off the coach, you want the pictures of it. They put it on their Instagram.
Did they have them at Wrexham?
Man, nothing to that level. They wouldn't have had that level. People, lads. To be fair to the lads at Wrexham, some of the most down to earth, normal people you'll come across, and that they weren't interested in stuff like that. There's no flash cars.
Okay.
There's no jewellery. They just got on with it, and that's the way it should be, though.
Course.
But you have some of these young lads.
You've got to learn your apprenticeship, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're talking about 18-year-olds though. It might be on £500,000 a year, £1 million a year. Imagine being 18, right? It's like just playing devil's advocate for a minute.
Yeah.
If you're 18 years old and somebody's paying you £1 million a year, right, and you have so much free time on your hands to burn, it's ridiculous. You will get yourself in trouble. 99% of the population would get themselves in trouble, right? So it's a lot to ask of a young lad to try and remain calm in that situation and not go and spend his money on all these nice things when he's watched all these footballers as these heroes.
Whose fault is that? The clubs?
I think it's too much too soon. I think it's definitely a case of too much too soon. They're giving these mad contracts out.
Is the problem not that if the club don't offer them that money, that mad money, another one will?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle then, isn't it? Because somebody else will come in, swoop in, take him, give him the money, give them the promises of a pathway to the first team. You're talking, there's been, I don't know, rumours of, and they'll move their family over there, they'll do this, but that's how much money's in football nowadays and how much value these players have.
What was the make of the bag you said?
Go Yard.
Never even heard of that. Have you heard of that?
I'll show you tomorrow.
I think I know which one he means. It's like Louis Vuitton, isn't it?
You've got one.
It's like nice leather, isn't it?
Ben, have you got one?
I played the game for 20 years.
Have you got one?
Yeah. But I played the game for 20 I played the game for 20 years.
How much do they cost? How much do they go yard?
I bought mine years ago. I can't remember.
Good.
No, I can't remember. But it's one of those.
What's it called? Go Yard?
Is it thousands? It's thousands, isn't it?
I mean, I don't think I've got a wash. I've got a bag.
Right.
That's like even more
How much
expensive.
are they?
I can't remember. But my point is,
Go on, keep on,
I played the
Google it,
game
keep
for I
talking.
played the game for 20 years. But these kids, come on,
They've done nothing.
nothing. And
They've
all of a
done
sudden,
nothing.
it's like, I need the wash bag. You would have seen one, Andy, for sure. Everyone's got them.
Look at
And even that, the way that they walk.
£1,500.
Yeah, that wasn't
What,
mine.
for a wash bag?
Mine was a lesser one.
Yeah. It says you can own Darren Bent's for £15.
Yeah.
It's the way that they walk in the changing rooms as well, and the way they are around the place. There's no. They've lost that sort of element of respect, even fear. Maybe fear is the word, but I had fear of the first team. I had respect for the first team. I wouldn't say boo to a goose, honestly.
They scared the life out of me.
I'm just looking at them now.
Oh, they're
£1,300.
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
But listen, Andy.
That is mad.
Kids in the youth team are walking into their training grounds and matches with them under their arm.
I mean, if someone walked in now with a real one of them and said £50, I'd tell them to stick it.
No,
I'll say Bentley can get them from WH Smith's.
Yeah.
Much cheaper than that.
No, I used to have a Nike one. Beautiful black.
Did the same job, didn't it?
Exactly.
Was there a moment, because you're not a flash person at all, Ben, right? I'm looking at it now. You
Go on.
look like you
Go
work
on.
on the streets, right? But what? Okay, you've got a normal pair of trainers on Nike.
I've got a nice watch though. My Garmin watch.
Lovely, yeah.
Lovely Garmin watch.
What do you say about your trainers?
They're really nice trainers.
Yeah, have a look at what they're worth online.
Yeah, but I bought these years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Have a look at those.
Do you know what? You can take the man out of the football club, can't you? Okay, but my question was going to be, right, you've got a pair of trainers on, right? You've got a normal pair of jeans, or what was, stonewashed pair, and just a blue jumper, right? So you don't look like money has changed you, right? Sure. Was there ever a moment where you look back and you went, I can't believe I paid $2.5 grand for a belt?
A belt?
Or anything?
I've never worn a belt in my life.
No, no, but you know what I mean? Did you get sucked in by it all and believe everything?
Yeah, I would have done for a little while. I remember, are you allowed to say brands? Dolce and Gabbana? Remember, like when t-shirts were like 200 quid a t-shirt or something. I remember buying some of them and thinking, yeah, it looks so cool. And I was like, wow, the t-shirt I got now is, I think it's 30 quid a t-shirt, 25 quid a t-shirt. Colourful standard, by the way, brilliant, lovely, real nice quality, lovely cotton. Does the job, honestly, absolutely fantastic. Lasts for a while. That lasts for a while as well. And yeah, you look back and you think, God, the amount of money that you're wasting on flash crap.
Sorry, Benny turned his nose up.
No, don't turn my nose up.
Benny, that question still applies to you.
It doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't.
Well, okay, just give me one item. Crazy money you spent on one thing.
I can't remember that. Come on, it's a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? Long time ago.
Probably yesterday.
It wasn't. But you do look back. How
much is that hoodie? If I wanted to buy that hoodie tomorrow,
50 quid.
No, it's not. It's not. How much is that hoodie?
50.
No, how much is it?
He's got a smile on his face.
No,
He's not
Cole Buxton.
I promise you, I got it for free.
But how if I wanted to buy that?
I don't know that because listen, shout out.
Okay.
He spent most of his money on trainers, and in fairness, it was an expense, but it was kind of an investment at the same time.
How much are yours, Ben?
I don't know. The ones I've got on now.
You do know. What's the matter
in the
with
after sale market? They're quite expensive, but I remember buying them for retail.
If I wanted
day.
to buy one of those pairs tomorrow,
cool, I'm out of the loop. I ain't got a clue how much these go for now.
It's like you think I'm a copper interrogating you. No idea, officer. I wasn't about.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.